diaspora responsibilities. And also thank you for the works of diaspora in responding to humanitarian crisis offices. In 2022, researchers from the University of Canada finding the research aimed to better understanding the strength and challenges faced by Australian-based migrants. And the Indo-Pacific Center engagement with Indonesian Diaspora. Support for Australia and family and community. I comment the belief that nursing within diaspora communities is a vital source of funding for local initiatives. We are from scholarship for students and village is and the Indonesian Diaspora Network. Thank you for joining us.
To acknowledge the extra part of that right now, they might focus on that. First one is our Indonesia. Combination actually. A warm welcome to everybody to the we call it here is Ruang Bineka. Bineka. Bineka is not for that means uniting in diversity. Because we are consistent so many people. This that we are getting together. Look down. This is very significant and critical forum. We have also we have some of the reasons how Australia-based migrants help in time of crisis. I believe that we all agree that the COVID-19 career has been a difficult time for us. It's a challenging time for us. But at the same time, it gives us the opportunity to improve ourselves. Really, I don't understand how we use this room for the first time. That is through the COVID-19. But we are here to listen to research for the result of the research by Professor Hernandez and the other colleagues. And particularly to the IBM Victoria, the Indonesian Diaspora of Victoria. Thanks and thanks again. We really appreciate for your initiative for having this event. And of course, we'd like to have to look for another collaboration with Victoria, the Renaissance Scholar Consulate Center. So, here for this for very much thank you for
we are coming over and see the center of this Asia who will be the moderator for this event. And program. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first my so Robin wanted it at the end and everybody. So I will probably just introduce her in that paragraph. And so it's a long time, a long process for us to do this research and to do the data analysis, and we're finally at this.
going to do this teamwork here where Jeff will be helping me with moving forward. I also want to acknowledge that we are the understanding something for now with us the forefront of all of our initiatives, all of our endeavors. And I think my respects again to elders past, present. So I want to begin by just, you can actually just go through all of them. It's easier. If I was so this and organizations, as well as humanitarian organizations who were part of this. Now, the objectives of the project, larger research project, are to really understand what is it that Australia-based diaspora communities are doing when they respond to humanitarian crisis. They could be natural disasters like an earthquake or a tsunami, and it can be the crisis that was just for making those diaspora communities responsive or effective. Humanitarian organizations are always responding to these disasters. But diaspora communities are doing some work, an important work. And, how do we make that more effective and more coordinated? So how do we support diaspora organizations and humanitarian organizations to work together more effectively? We had 8, actually, we could maybe forward. We had 8 case studies communities. So Afghanistan, Syria, South Sudan, Myanmar, Indonesia, Lebanon, and Nepal were part of there's one. Yeah, there we go, in the Pacific. And each of them had a different practice that we were looking at. And we are going to just focus on Indonesia. So in the Indonesian, if you could just so as Pia said, she was the community researcher. Now the process that we followed is a little bit different in that in each of the cases we wanted to identify a community-based researcher, someone who is connected to that community, rather than say me or somebody who's not connected to that diaspora. Go in. And so each of the communities had a person from that community who was connected to organizations in that community, and if they had some experience of working with those community organizations. And so Pia was the person for Indonesia, and each of the community researchers were design work best as in terms of the choice of which crisis to focus on. So the community researchers decided, okay, this is the crisis to focus on. But also, what would be the most effective method of data collection in this? So each of the very different methods. Methods are so interviews were conducted, and in others also surveys. We have also so the immediate semi-structured that we have collected were diverse groups that were done either in person or in Zoom in 2020. So in terms of looking at the findings, we had some key questions, and these are things that our results were with respect to those questions. The first was, how did the nature of the crisis shape the diaspora responses? Now, in the case of this crisis, which was the COVID crisis, unlike the other crises, this was a global crisis. Yeah, so everyone was affected. so it's not just communities in Australia who were affected, and it was not just communities in Indonesia that were affected, but communities in other parts of the world. And this meant that it influenced the shape of the responses in important ways. The crisis response was often multi-directional, in the sense that it wasn't just Australian-based Indonesians responding to Indonesians, but sometimes it was Indonesians asking, Australian-based Indonesians to help other Australian-based Indonesians. So the response was multi. Obviously, as we all remember, in terms of the lockdown and travel, and we could barely move out of our own homes at that time. So mobilizing collectively in the sort of standard ways, like in other communities, all of that was much more difficult in this particular crisis. And so that also limited the kinds of activities that virtually or remote. So again, in contrast, when, for instance, there were fundraising events, communities got together, having a lunch and raising funds in person. All that couldn't happen in this case. It was just virtual activities that or remote activities that could be done. It was also again, because of the lockdown, it was difficult to identify who was in need. You could actually each necessarily go there and verify whose needs, who has the most urgent need for widespread, and a lot of people were affected. So the second question was, how do the characteristics of diaspora in Australia shape the responses? And one of the first things that people talked about was the fact that there was a sense of, sorry, that's an incomplete sentence, a lack of engagement with coordination by established diaspora organizations, but that people saw there was a potential for this to be, for that coordination to be stronger in the future, coordinate in the event of future crisis. There was an understanding that organizations' resources were limited, and that they often had to look at competing priorities in deciding whose needs to respond to. There were intergenerational differences that within the diaspora, within the Indonesian diaspora, where some people felt that some Indonesians in Australia felt that they were perceived or judged as being too systematic or too much of the younger generation, and they felt that there was a discount than other things didn't engage with as much. And then there was a sense that because many Indonesians don't have are either on sort of student visas or on temporary visas of different categories, it meant that they didn't feel like they could influence this government, that they couldn't just put Indonesian, which means I can't become an Australian. It's not Australian. So how can I talk? So that was in terms of the diaspora ability to influence or in particular practices my balance. So in response to the question of activities that the diaspora did in response to the crisis, the first thing to note that it was most powerful household community or communities of the kind of help that people gave. By far, the most common response was to send financial transfer. This included remittances sent to their friends, but also was money sent to individuals in need identified through social networks. So your school, your workplace, and students. So there were some fundraising activities that were organized. And these were through online events. Okay. So they all held an online event to discuss the kinds of problems faced by people, and raising contributions. Was to create awareness and transfer knowledge, share expert knowledge. So this was particularly in terms of the raising knowledge about, say, the sort of safety, to keep safe. Emotional and psychosocial, providing that support to the sometimes Indonesian students in this context were isolated. So that support was provided to Indonesian students here, but there was also emotional support being provided to. And a lot of the work was also in terms of the procurement and supply of material goods from hospital health workers. Things like for PPE, the personal protective equipment that was sourced in Australia or overseas and sent to. So what kind of needs within crisis affected communities were addressed? Obviously, one of the priority needs was healthcare. So as I said, contributing to the payment of medical treatment for people who was from COVID, and the contribution to the payment of ambulances to take people to hospitals, and as well as public health. So all of this was under the food and basic necessities. So people lost their incomes during the pandemic. So providing food for rent and utilities was another activity. People transition to new livelihoods, including supporting them to start new businesses during the pandemic and after. Marginalized groups, so particularly LGBTIQ communities and artist communities who face additional disadvantages due to the lack of social support in their local. So supporting these is responses. So tools that help to facilitate efforts. And we saw tool or modality was to use social media platforms. Because everything's happening virtually online, as the Honorable Council also said, we all were on Zoom. But using WhatsApp in particular, was, as this coach said, the #1 platform that helped so much. So what I did is I did some campaign material in WhatsApp, copy and paste. Then I just put all my friends from WhatsApp groups for my primary school, middle school, high school, university. And it's like a chain reaction. So there people spread again and again, because suddenly our donations started coming in with all these Indonesian names I've never heard of. I don't know them. They started around the world, which is amazing. Yeah, this is the power of a diaspora connected virtually around the world. It's not just, not just here. It's like that leveraging that is possible through social platforms. And this is something we see in the other crisis, diaspora responses to crisis communities. So obviously those social media platforms are supported by social networks, yeah, that were important to the mobilization of the response in many ways. And these social networks are around, say, school groups, university groups, and other interest groups, so sports, artistic, or regional, or village, all of these different kinds of communities that the social networks are using these social media. And obviously, that's a strong that exists that then enables people to say, yes, okay, I trust that, these people who are in my circle will be using the money in the right way. Trust that when they give money, it will be properly used. And of course, the online money transfer services. So Kitawasa is one of the big ones in Indonesia, and as one of the participants said. So the fundraising is through kitabvisa.com. The slogan is "People help good people. The poor and neglected people are cared for by." Another how you think the platform. I feel that small initiative, grassroots donation through kitabvisa.com was more effective, especially as the impact of COVID was really big. So that's what does help. Okay. So motivations. Why did if you can just go through that. Why did the Indonesian diaspora respond as they did? And there are, quite divergent perspectives on motivations. Some people did talk about a lack of motivation. The pandemic, and many people do that in your own space. Well, feel that this is so huge. Wrap your head around the scale of needs and the difficulty of knowing who to help, how to. And a lot of people face significant challenges themselves. So there was a sense that people others spoke, and this is the importance of the obligation and the community. And this was motivated by a strong sense of moral duty. And so, as one person said, I thought if a developed country like Australia struggles with this, just like Indonesia, which is a developing nation, it will be in even more trouble because we don't have as many doctors or resources to actually deal with the pandemic of this. Yeah. So that was the motivation for this person. Of informal so, for instance, the government, Australian government or Indonesian government, but also humanitarian institutions, humanitarian organizations, and for ordinary people to step into this and provide. So you have this strong sense also that individuals had of motivated by a sense of personal fulfillment or satisfaction. So one person said, maybe people think I'm doing this for others, but actually I'm doing it more for myself to make me feel that I can live. And another person, last year, I felt euphoria. Like I cannot believe how many good people around me would like to help along. So that gives people a sense of fulfillment. So the next question is, how did the Indonesian diaspora with and here it was household to household, household to community to household. So the strongest is that there are networks and local organizations. So or the initiatives by individuals or small groups, again to individuals or small groups. As one person said, I think I'm better off donating to a small group. That's my decision. Rather than the large group, make the big ones, big names. So the possibility of getting more donors. I've never been to an international organization. It's not that I don't trust them, more like I just want to go small. So there was a strong sense of, you can do more when you do it on a smaller scale. Under institutional actors, in terms of larger humanitarian NGOs were referenced, but there was a strong sense amongst the interviews that a sense of distrust. The sense that if resources, financial resources were transferred to these personal networks, then they would be more impactful than if so it was impactful. And I think here there was the really strong perception that the diaspora networks can be more creative in their responses. They can be faster and more effective. As I think that's because those organizations have more red tape. Diasporas feel more stable and a lot more effective at mobilizing their resources than these traditional bureaucratic organizations. The other sort of impact was they felt that supporting micro-level responders was both impactful and effective. So this is illustrated by the example of a woman who sent money to her mother to buy food and cook for people in the village who had lost their source of income. So that was a direct impact. And all the people in the village. They a huge amount of resources, but it was having a strong impact. Similarly, there was a man in Jakarta who set up an initiative where people could donate small amounts of money, purchase meals from street vendors, and these were then distributed to day laborers who were out of work. So these were the kinds of creative initiatives that had a small level impact, but a very high level. Those were the sort of supporting the micro level responses. And there was, of course, also the impact of sharing knowledge that was seen as the ability to translate information and ideas into the local language and context. As one of the journalists said, that we are challenging hoaxes and fake news during the COVID era. That's why we need health workers, epidemiologists, scientists. The reason why we interview them is because they are independent, means that they are not associated with so we need to straighten out the hoaxes, fake news, verify what someone said at that time. And as you might recall, a lot of misinformation circulating about COVID, how it spread, all of this, what should be done. All of that. And I remember this even, in the Indian context. So this was so now then looking at what were the challenges that were faced in responding to the crisis. And here we have a few points that this is that organizations are relatively small and therefore limited in terms of their reach. So that is one of the limitations. Second is about the transparency and accountability of these initiatives. Yeah. There are mechanisms where you see that, say, the PPE that you have sent, a photograph is sent to you of the doctors in the PPE. That was not enough. Not enough accountability to show that the funds had reached. And some people thought that there was that the Indonesian diaspora was not as effective in its response to the crisis, particularly given the limits of people struggling within Australia. You know, they're on temporary visas, they're students, and so they're in various conditions that make it difficult for them to send money back home. So that was question raised how faced in terms of response. So, what are some ways in which, you know, drawing from this research, what are some ways in which the Indonesian diaspora could respond to humanitarian? Particularly unique concept that other crises. So, 2 years before, you had the earthquake, that was a different kind of crisis response. But no matter which crisis we're talking about, there needs to be a strong to provide support to local initiatives in crisis-affected communities. And to reach lessons to people through these steps. So online crowdfunding. And we need to also ensure that there is some effective way of vetting or accountability at the destination. Yeah, simple ways for reporting back to people who are making those donations through those online crowdfunding. What are the outcomes of those donations? Yeah, so some measures of accountability. Second, the coordination and collaboration between diaspora networks and organizations and individuals. Yeah, that they tended to work separately, so ensuring that there are facilitated networks of collaboration. And this could possibly be facilitated with the support of the Indonesian Consulate General. This was one of the suggestions of one of the participants to be able to disseminate the information in policy action. Similar work in the response to the corruption and tsunami, the High Commissioner of Tonga in Melbourne was very much involved in that crisis mobilization response. Knowledge and the diaspora to the wider public. And so this pertains to diaspora members who share the knowledge and expertise they have with the backbone into their unique perspective. They've got the information and knowledge, and they're able to communicate directly and as well sensitively, you know, in local languages. And so ensuring that they have those platforms to speak to media events and awareness raising. They can be that conduit between the communities as well as the public and the Australian government. And finally, stronger collaboration. Obviously, this is a major gap. It's a major gap in all communities. That there is a gap between diaspora communities and the humanitarian sector. And so, one of the recommendations of our study, larger study, is also that there needs to be stronger engagement between institutional humanitarian actors, that's the NGOs. And diaspora communities can act as a bridge between these international humanitarian actors and the communities. And they have direct contact with the communities, and they can cut past all of the red tape and bureaucracy of the institutions. Individual crisis. That is it. So this is the report. We're launching this report today. There's a copy for each of you in English and in Bangla. For those of you who would like to take a copy, but we also have a digital copy. So if you would rather not take a paper copy, take one of those. And I think Pia will be involved and I will be involved in disseminating this further. I'm more than happy to come to any other event to share these findings. If we could organize one. There's a lot of so this is one of the so she was a celebrity as well. So what to do is I'll let her just speak for herself.
I think that's 2021. And in particular, around July, August, when I started my fundraising. So just to give a quick background, so what I did. So I actually didn't go to school here in Melbourne. I completed network all around the world towards fundraising. Went to University of Indonesia. United States. And started a relationship. Got out, worked there, and then eventually got married in '99 and Australia and so on. Nations were married and Australian foreigners and lived here and started my life in Melbourne. So even though I've been far away from Jakarta, is where I came from, lived in Melbourne since 1999, I still active, like I have this curiosity of what's happening in the region, those and where everyone from around the world together and assisting. My fundraising as well because so yeah, this was something is very interesting. The phenomenon where so inviting me to do this chat room. So I joined. Well, my middle school class, so I joined this university chat as well from my year and also plus year. So I actually joined a chat room where it's not the year of 1991, but I actually also joined all the alumni from like 75, so when the lockdown, or sorry, when the pandemic happened in Jakarta, slowly but sure, everybody, the topic was actually what's happening in Jakarta in particular, because that's where I come from. All my friends back home just talking about it's becoming dying of the disease, and then crowded, people couldn't actually get in, people were like 5 hours overnight because they're just waiting for room to be admitted. Especially because it's starting to find back down. You can tell like everyone's like one got disease, it did the immunity, or the self it's like really helping with the children. Well, one of the chat rooms that I was joining as well was the one from Paulo Camilo, and naturally everybody, the volunteers who actually do much such activities, they're always like trying to do other things, especially in the pandemic. My colleague there was talking about how he had to drive to get some for people who were at the hospital. So I'm still interesting, like I'm actually because ideas how to help for something to help so how did you get that? Like how did you buy that to get it's like a non-profit organization. A movement, the CEO is Ali, who's actually happened to be a friend of my friend at university. So I guess the trust was there, like Professor Pina Fernandez said, you know, probably after being brought up in Indonesia during not an ideal time where corruption was like pretty high. I'm always worried about if I'm doing this fundraising, if I have the money, then what to do with this money. And I just don't want to hand it over to somebody and then the money will just disappear. So, no, Venerable President host is non-profit organization who's also it's audited by the so you know that the money there. I contacted Alex straight away from my house because it's lockdown, nobody can leave the house. And I asked him all these questions, and he said, "Yes, I can help you. We're actually what you do was actually take all these deliver to all the patients at home, especially like poor and ones that couldn't be admitted to the hospital due to the overcrowding." So yeah, that's what I did, and just fortunately, I don't bake. I can't sing, so I thought what will be the center of my fundraising here, and then some of you probably know I love running. Running is my passionate. I've been running after I had my kids here, and I in 2020 the pandemic hit. I thought, what should I do for this year? And I thought, oh yeah, why don't I just run for 20 kilometers in a year, which is basically 60 kilometers a week consistently. So I created a Instagram page called Run Santi Run. Basically, I want to hold myself accountable by gaining followers so that I can be reminded I have to run and keep 20 kilometers. Yeah, which I did. Because lockdown happened, and what else can you do but running, right? So, in 2021, I thought, oh, I can't pay, on my Instagram platform as running. And I also actually contacted a friend, a mom from school, who actually ran a marketing company, and I said, I need your help because I don't know how to start this company. And I know I want to use a GoFundMe because one of raise funds. I don't know what to do, like how do I start? And then she said, well, you have to be really clear on why you're doing this fundraising. First of all, you have to choose an organization that's credible, and what makes you think it's credible. Everything you have to state it. So I did state the organization name, so people know it's credible. And then I actually have to break down what was the money for. Like you can't just say I'm going to give it to them. For each dollar, so what I did in the page is that, so let's say 25, for a 25 US Australian dollar, it actually translates to 35 Australian dollar. You can $5 donation can get you a so $65 donation for yeah, so if you scroll down, actually, the body of the GoFundMe will actually explain everything. So I explain my background here, and then over here, explain how dire it is that's happening in Indonesia, and then why oxygen tank is important. And then I said, I'm actually going to give the donation to Gita, Gerakan Indonesia Gita. It's an Indonesian movement, very credible voice. And then I also said here what I'm going to use or what the donation is going to be used for. So I can break it down, and my girlfriend just kept on saying, just put an amount from a small one to a big one, and then just leave it to the donators how much they want to donate. Something for the donators to know, like they can imagine themselves. It's not just about the dollars. They're not giving $135. They're actually giving, okay, they're just giving $35. They're actually an oxygen, or like if they want to take something higher, $185, they're actually giving of oxygen tank. So it's a big oxygen tank size. So but the leaders actually donating, have an like they can actually imagine or have a picture in mind of what they're actually giving. It's not just about money. And so when I opened GoFundMe, obviously my best friend, she's the marketing director. She gave her first donation. I still remember $100. She beat my husband, and my husband put $100. And all in my head is, oh, if I can get 1,000, I'll be so happy. 1,000 Australian dollars. And then I started opening my phone, and then I started sending links from GoFundMe on my phone to one of my contacts. And I thought, oh, why not think bigger? And I thought, I'll just finish everyone on my contact list. I just don't care if they're not going to talk to me for a while. I just have to justify where I'm actually, getting their messages. And then obviously the next one is actually mentioning it in my to my surprise, has been following me. It's not just me, it's actually all Australians. Yeah, the whole different around the world that you follow Smart. And they do as well. Like they trust me. They I think it's because we've been like following each other for a year, and that we have that relationship. The next one was WhatsApp group. I have to create a content that just talks about my fundraising. Then Melbourne was on and on down, and I actually registered for a health program in July, end of July. And I thought, yes, I'm going to focus my fundraising towards that. So like anytime I go out and train from over and over, and create a content, put in WhatsApp, and then just spread in the WhatsApp group. And I just told them I just need $10,000 by the time I run, and that was like 10 days away from day one. And I remember I was so nervous going for a run. Oh, and then lockdown happened. So the race wasn't cancelled. Organizer decided, all right, do the race in London, just have on lockdown, we can do a virtual race. I said, all right, I'll do a virtual race. I'll just run up on the route because I really want to do this fundraising. And I mentioned it also in my page, and everyone was still donating. Like donation was coming before the actual raise as well, because of my connection with that our Milo. One of them knows somebody sick, and that's why. And then they did call it a show, but an interview on me on the about this fundraising together with other nations who are doing the similar work. And then through that, again, I use that as a content material. So I use it again in my landing page, I use it in my WhatsApp, and I just keep on spreading it, share it regularly with the WhatsApp platform, the Instagram platform. And it's starting to go everywhere. And on the day 10, the amount was like close to $10,000, and I was so nervous. And I said to Nick, I really want to do my best. Just gonna do my best. Anyway, the morning I woke up, I looked at my GoFundMe account. Somebody actually rounded up to reach $10,000 before I started to raise. He said, Santi, this is for me. I have to mention my name. He's an alumni of my university who actually lives in America, and he's been calling me. He just rounded up to $10,000 just to make me happy, and that's done. So I knew I reached my target. And I thought I would finish there, but people will just, it's like a massive snowball, and it just goes like donating and donating, and all these names, I just don't recognize them anymore, and they're coming from UK, from America, parts of Australia, Melbourne. It's so touching. And from there, because I built like a public profile out there, people start really approaching me, and even some of my friends from high school, they said, keep looking up at GoFundMe, because yeah, this is what's touching me. It's not just the diaspora that wants to actually help. The Indonesian who lives in Indonesia actually wanted to contribute to it. So rather than them going to GoFundMe, I actually also have an account with kitabisa.com. I actually hijacked Kitabisa. I use it. I use my name to actually. So it was amazing. Like one day I received like 10 million rupiah. So all my girlfriends from high school actually put me here that they got 10 million, because the time was only like 50 million rupiah. It's like, oh, 5 million something today. The target was so I kept on like moving the bar. And eventually, just a quick one with kitabisa.com, from 15 million target, we got 42 million rupiah achieved, just paid. Like I said, once I got a once people know me in a public platform, people start contacting me. And one of them is Lenny from here in Melbourne. She's also a runner. She heard me and she said, gee, how can I help? Do you think we can help? Like what if, and then she together, and because that's already in early August, we thought, why don't we make the most of having the fundraising yeah, so we started like getting other runners around Melbourne, including my Australian, and get together, and they actually make profile about my fundraising, so their friends get to know, donate to the GoFundMe campaign, which is great. So I don't know, it's not 15,000 Australian dollar, but now let's do more. Let's just push it. Let's just and let's finish it just after the Independence Day. And so we did. So everybody has a target, because Independence Day is 17th of August. 5. So we can either run 17 kilometers, we can run 8 kilometers, we can go for 5 kilometers or 45 minutes, or just entering that number and then put in everyone's and so we got more attention, we energized the fundraising. And one of this lady that I met here, and she's she actually used to work at a TV station in Jakarta, and so she has like profiles, my profile there in Jakarta, and through her, she has also get a lot of people contributing to Kita Visa. Oh, I also have to mention my best friend from high school. You probably know Rossi Silalahi. She's actually my best friend too, and she so with that profile, the Visa donation just got up. My GoFundMe here was obviously helped by the profile. Managed to close GoFundMe at 27,000 Australian dollars. So that's amazing. And at the end, I have to also using Kangaroo Australia for a long time since I moved here. And so to transfer money, if I have to go through bank, they're going to cut a lot of transfer fees. So I negotiate with Kangaroo Australia. I say, if you want to move on, like, this is actually for my company's help. Like, it's way the transfer fee. I have to send the money regularly. I don't mind keeping all this donation coming. They do questions that it's happening to do that. So yeah, something the experience has been nothing very helpful. So yeah, that was like best experience of my life, and I'm so glad that I'm able to help them.
You should see Sandy before running.
It's everywhere.
So
I think it's fine. Actually, I know something at the time of high school. We are actually, he came to our theater club in Canisius. Canisius College, and he's from Santa Ursula. So we are kind of macro and Melbourne High. So, but I don't remember. All right. My name is Jeffrey Liando. I'm the secretary of IDN, Indonesian Diaspora Network Victoria. When our president Diana asked me, asked anyone want to be a responder speaker, and then I just no one answered, and then I just stand up. You know, that's because it's like a flashback to what we did in 2000, which is a very good cause, right? Individually or by the organization. So and I'm also some of the experience here also when I was still at I was at the time I was the IT division at Indonesian Diaspora Network, right? And then also the secretary of Kawanua Melbourne Australian. This is the ethnic organization from Minahasa, Manado. But now I'm the president of Kawanma Australia for the Kawanma Global Association in LA. So I just been appointed to lead the one Australia. So this is what we have here. So basically, what happened at the time? COVID happened suddenly, unexpectedly. People being, like disconnected with each other. Homes everywhere. But Zoom is taking me to invite people to use Zoom for my friends here around the government for 1 or 2 months because office everywhere. They don't trust Zoom. Anyway, they don't trust Zoom at their time. Yeah? Right? For 2 months, and after that, they start using Zoom, and then that's the connection getting good and smooth. And then also Indonesian Diaspora in the February of community operating. And then as we say here, I try to start with the timeline because you see there's a 6 lockdown. We are in a special city in the world at the time. So in my presentation, basically I just want to present the facts of the community organization, what their efforts. Before we have the individual superwoman effort, before anyone wasting a lot of money, but here we just want to show the fact of the organization, what they already tried to help. And then from the COVID appeal, most of the COVID appeal happened between May and July, because this is when there's no lockdown, so we can travel everywhere and then help. Even there's some restriction, but we can help with the groceries, packages to beneficiary. So, and then it's going on until here. Different organizations, Indonesian Diaspora Community Organization at Action, sorry, not completely Action, ORMAS, we call it ORMAS, yeah. We have ORMAS, organization, community organizations, and different organizations, separate responses, and uncoordinated. Like from Kawanma Ethnics, based on ethics, and then Muhammadiyah from religious organization. And then we kind of, the targets divided between people in Indonesia, including our families. I believe we need to be helping our families. If you see your track of your wives or whatever, your bank account, you will see around 2021, there's a lot of money sending to Indonesia. Everyone, not just a person. We cannot stand to see what's happening in Indonesia. And then now the second target is Filodias Diaspora in Australia. Most of them are standard international students. And then the uncovered Centrelink's COVID reliefs, uncovered by Centrelink's COVID relief benefits. So holding temporary visa, asylum seekers. And then, this is just the fact what happened. That's because of we only can travel 55 kilometers home, unless we have the good people to explain to police that we can send groceries to our friend over there. That's and then the good thing. That's obviously nothing we cannot travel to give the packages around this time. So this is from my observations since last week. So is anyone from this organization actually attending here? Please, is there anyone from IBM? Oh yeah, of course. Kasih Project. Is anyone from Kasih Project? Because this is the main one. Mbak Angela said cannot join this time, but if you inform, you probably can present Kasih Project so. Huh? Me and Muhammadiyah Melbourne is there? Oh, Ibu Rina. Oh yeah, you're the chair of Asia. So yeah, all right. So I'm gonna I give you like 5 minutes. Oh, all right. Thank you very much. And then from NU, is there anyone from NU? All right, okay. All right, so we start with the idea in Victoria. So it's launched in 15th of April 2020. We do fundraising donation to diaspora in Melbourne to purchase masks, hand sanitizers, gloves, and other protective optional protective equipment or PPE. It's very popular, this abbreviation at the time, PPE. And the beneficiaries, we are following the instruction from the Indonesian Diaspora Network Global, and then they are targeting two health institution, the Paru Masyarakat, Badan Kesehatan Paru Masyarakat in Bandung, and then Puskesmas Wanasari Cibitung. Puskesmas is very small local health center. Okay, so yeah, my presentation is more like showing some photos, facts. That's what's happening. So this is the flyer that we spent, and then we have this account number of Indonesian Diaspora Network, and then at the time, Mas Heri as our treasurer, and this is when they received. So we got the money, and then Mbak Devi arrange everything for the transaction, even the buying of the stuff. And then can you play the video again? Yeah. I think we cannot. But the sound is not coming up to the. This is explaining how they open the sound. And then just sponsorship. Thank you, Diaspora Victoria. So yeah. Um, can we control that? Oh. Okay. Okay, that's all right. Okay. We'll continue with Kasih Project. Kasih Project is the main charity effort at the time, led by Angelina Sukiri. So it's founded as charity in 26th of July 2020, but the operation is already happening since the end of March. So they provided food, emergency food relief, grocery packages, winter clothing, and the different with that Indonesian Diaspora Network. Well, our target is in Indonesia. The Kasih project is specifically the target stranded international students in Melbourne and temporary visa holders or asylum seekers. So that's by Angel. So her business in Ashburton, the school become the crisis center. So everyone bring all the food to here, and then from here distributed to everywhere in Melbourne, also in Victoria. So we go to, so this is in Melbourne, so this is the students, and then I believe not just Indonesian, there's another multicultural communities as well, because the helper, the donors of this project is coming from Korea community, from other community. So yeah, and then But Angel approached IDN, IDN Victoria at that time, Mas Iwan as the president, and then, how can you help us to distribute it to, because we want to take care of the asylum seekers, and then the temporary visa holder, and Bendigo, Shepparton, and Swan Hill, because they don't have, because of the no job. So because there's no job, there's no income. But we're still questioning how they survive at the time. I believe apart from what we believe we share here, there are other help from other that we don't know. So yeah, because at the time we supply a lot of things, but I don't think it's gonna survive until the sixth lockdown. You know, so yeah. This is what I can get, that we can get as the Indonesian Diaspora. So this is coordinated by us. So yeah, we have three times. May, April, May, and July. Yeah, during between lockdown, first lockdown and second lockdown. So there is a gap that we can do. Okay, Kawan Melbourne, Australia. This is coming from my ethics. At the time I was the secretary, and then the president is Connie Rotinsur. So we have the initiative to keep them, but only focusing the grocery packages. But because this is the ethnic group, so we just focus concentrated Manadonese, send international student Manadonese temporary visa holder in Melbourne, also in Swan Hill or in Bendigo. So there are three batches. We did it April, the first batch, May, second, and June, before the second lockdown. So yeah, this is our garage become the crisis center. So we ask everyone to so we collect everything. So we collect money. We bought this one. So me and my wife have. Because at the time there is a rule only two in one household, only one can buy the groceries. So I split my wife like this separately before kind of thing. That you go there and then we go and meet in the car, you know, because I believe no one can check it in the car. So we managed to collect everything, and then we allocated to Manadonese students and people, basically the temporary visa holders. Muhammadiyah Melbourne is a religious community. Is organized by Muhammadiyah in Asia, Australia, which is the woman organization. Provided grocery packets to Muslim community in Victoria and a stakeholder of IMCP. Yeah, and then apart from providing groceries, they do online seminar welcoming the golden years. There are 5 stations. In all aspects, preparation of country, all age, various aspects of mental health, psychology, religion, and everything. And then now I just want to introduce Rina Binasari. If you can introduce a quick summary. Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. So, I'm Rina Pekasari as a chair of women in Australia. So there's a women organization under the Australian. Like what you said before, I think I just want to add something like so we received the multicultural senior support program. It's kind of grants from the federal government. So it's 5 years project, and we received $11,000 from Victorian government. And one of the first program that we help is the Welcome Golden Years. The target participant is seniors members of the regions. The thing is how I will be during into process with the perspective. And last year, 2023, so kind of the held the event with about the supporting well-being of Indonesian senior members post-COVID. Yeah, so we kind of running like workshop eco printing. So it's like sustainable practice for Indonesians senior members at the time. Yeah, this kind of the small kindness community care. We collaborated with the IMCV, Indonesian Muslim Community of Victoria, and also we collaborated with Tanzania Foundations, some of the Indonesians Islamic community. Yeah. So that's all I think. During like Eid festival, and because during that day we can't visit our seniors members at the time, so we delivered the food hampers. And this year in July we will be holding an event. Kind of the one of the our what is that the project and the grants that we received. The title is about strengthening the awareness of Indonesian senior members on their healthy heart, and also supporting their well-being in terms of like doing eco-friendly worship concepts like 2024. Thank you so much.
So yeah, Muhammadiyah, similar with our model Australia and the identity focusing into Indonesian diaspora in Australia. But now we have the last one, Ratu Ulama Melbourne. It's a religious community as well, and then this is organized by the annual congregation in Australia, fundraising to purchase masks. This is similar with Indonesian Diaspora Network, purchasing masks, hand sanitizer, gloves, and other personal protective equipment. So the beneficiaries is Muslim community in Indonesia, and in collaboration with the NU Autonomous Body, so they have a local NGO to cooperate. Very strong, like Indonesian Diaspora Network. So apart from giving the grocery packages, and then they have the show as well about Ifwaba by Gus Nadir, and also the Sekjen BBNU. So also they've done like a religious thing together, I think using Zoom to join prayers like all over the world. Well, this is the picture. Ini namanya Muhammad. Nasir. Indonesia. So that's to transfer money from Australia to Indonesia and then giving to the annual congregation in Indonesia. So if I can summarize here, Indonesian diaspora is similar effort here to help Indonesian people, same like NU. Indonesian diaspora with TASI project, the target is still on diaspora and also Muhammadiyah and also Kawanwa Melbourne. So yeah, like I said, the target is so all right. So this is a proposed initiative. It's just looking at what happened. We really need to look past everything. It's a sudden, it can happen, could happen again, but we don't know what with COVID or natural disaster or war or whatever. But that's I learned this before moving to Melbourne. I lived in Wellington, New Zealand. We have this earthquake every, and even my son know what is the earthquake bill that they just got. So it's get used to it. So if we can have like established Indonesian diaspora registry, or the name is so generic, emergency management agency, only activated at the time of emergency. So we don't activate that this time. But when and then from Consul General, or we can keep the order or whatever. So we just do coordinate it for everyone individually or by organizations. So we can cooperate with the authorities in local, so like SES, State Emergency Services, police, health, ambulance, defense, or Indonesian embassy, consulate, local NGOs, and government in Indonesia. If you want to help Indonesia, it means we need to have a local resources as well, like done by NU or Indonesian Global. And after that, we just gather everyone, donors, sponsors, volunteers, skill task force, everyone that have skill with paramedic or whatever. Probably who knows Indonesian diaspora have the partner, either we don't know, right? Somewhere up there, our second generation could be involved there, some expert that can help. So it's just at least we have the people already. And then we can design the SOPs, crisis center, which one, which house that if it's happened, it's gonna be your house become the crisis center. You know, we don't have to point at all. At least there's some, especially the houses that in the center or whatever, we can design that. And then the communication network, like Zoom or WhatsApp or everything. We have in those there's a Indonesian also they have a good WhatsApp network in those, yeah. Kohani, yeah, that's we can use that as well. And also provide training also. So this only has not only activated at the time of this. Thank you.
There's a lot. I think I'm missing out on this information. So, but let's. If anyone have any questions? For yes,
Well, this is not question actually. Well, I would like to express my thoughts. Three speakers. And that's okay. But you can do it, right?
Thanks. We need to see your.
All right. Yeah, so let me begin from Professor Fernandez. This is very important research. The recommendation, but
There's a.
you can sebaiknya dari recommendations.
I think one of those recommendations.
Yeah.
Already has.
Exactly.
It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Connection with also Jeffrey also mentioned. Recommendation is very important. I mean, it's not only the time of crisis, but also including in daily life. I remember that last time, even the very last time, that we asked a lot with regard to the Papua students who having a very slow response to even if it's just like a small contribution, but it's really very important. One of them is that, well, I would agree also what recommended by Jerry that we have such kind of. So again, it is not only a time of crisis, because wherever you are, every diaspora will be still connected with us. And then the Santi really very inspiring for us. Thank you very much. I remember even my time of crisis was split into two. First part in Indonesia, the other part is here in Melbourne. I remember that we have to do an lockdown on this for small unit of organization or village in our Ambon in small organization. Yeah. Even every individual try to help one to another. family. The other just like the neighbor. When we understand that the neighbor exposed to COVID, then we send our, well, what do you call logistics, okay, or even mass. But we also experience a very difficult time whenever we need some facilities that we need, like hands to have a masker, because mask. I remember the most difficult one to check is the N22. N22, and then everybody it's like compete together. And we also require that it is used only for those in front line, the nurses and the doctor, and then everybody else need that one. Well, again, thank you very much for the research. Kami honor, really appreciate what you have done, Bu Santi, and Pak Jeffrey also with the diaspora, with the organization. Mr. Muhammadiyah di NU, whatever again, kasih. Organisasi. Because it was in 2020, and I arrived here exactly in June. This coming month will be my 3 years. In June, 15th of June, 2021. So the true phase that the consulate try to help the one in Shepparton, when there were about 10 people exposed to COVID, then we sent secretly, because actually we were not allowed by the event on this year. I'm just saying that. Well, in a very noble purpose that we are going to help people. Communities in close to the Baitul Makmur Masjid, that also nobody knows it, because we were not allowed also to go outside of 5 kilometers. We bring some logistic around 20 kepala keluarga, very also exposed to this topic. So again, thank you very much. Really appreciate for that. And Pak Jeffrey, that's what I think on this. We need to
That's funny. I look at it very different.